When the federal government reaches the debt limit, the Treasury Department uses extraordinary measures to continue to pay bills until the debt limit is increased or suspended. These measures are a source of confusion. Here's a simple explanation of how they work. The U.S. Treasury issues two kinds of debt. When Treasury debt is issued to raise cash, this is debt held by the public. In most years, the federal government spends more than it collects in revenue, producing annual deficits that add to this debt. There is also intragovernmental debt. This is debt that is held by government accounts such as the Social Security Trust Fund or federal employee retirement funds. This debt cannot be sold to the public. Both public debt and intragovernmental debt count toward the statutory debt limit. When the government is at the debt limit, Treasury cannot issue more debt to pay the nation's bills using normal operations. Extraordinary measures, which are basically legal accounting maneuvers, allow Treasury to temporarily reduce the amount of intragovernmental debt in certain accounts. When this debt comes off the books, it creates room under the debt limit. Extraordinary measures allow Treasury to reduce intragovernmental debt in certain accounts specified in law. The three major accounts that can be fully or partially disinvested include the Government Bond Fund of the Thrift Savings Plan, known as the G Fund, the Civil Service Retirement and Disability Fund, which is the main pension fund for federal employees, and the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which Treasury uses for currency operations. The individual statutes for each of these funds allow them to be used as extraordinary measures. On the other hand, Treasury is not allowed to touch the Social Security or Medicare trust funds as part of extraordinary measures. Furthermore, Treasury can't add to or change the extraordinary measures. Only Congress has that power. The amount of room under the debt limit that can be created by extraordinary measures varies by the time of year. Once extraordinary measures have been used to reduce intergovernmental debt and create room under the debt limit, Treasury can use this additional room to issue new debt to the public, up to the amount of the debt limit. In other words, Treasury can issue new debt to the public up to the same amount as the intergovernmental debt that was taken off the books with the extraordinary measures. This new public debt raises cash that can be used to pay bills. But because the federal government is running a deficit, this extra cash will eventually be used up. More simply, extraordinary measures can only buy a limited amount of time. Eventually, without an increase or suspension of the debt limit, Treasury will still find itself in a position where it can't pay all of its bills in full and on time. Once the debt limit is increased or suspended, the law requires Treasury to restore the intergovernmental debt that it temporarily took off the books using extraordinary measures. The extraordinary measures must be unwound right away, within a day or so of the debt limit increase or suspension. To recap, extraordinary measures are used to reduce intergovernmental debt, making room under the debt limit. Treasury can then use this room to issue debt to the public, which raises cash to continue paying bills for an additional period of time. When the debt limit is increased, the extraordinary measures have to be restored by issuing back the intergovernmental debt that was reduced. To learn more about extraordinary measures and the debt limit, visit bipartisanpolicy.org.